Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is February 14th, 2020. My name is Lynn Marquidant, and I am your host. Welcome. Grab a project, and let's see what we can accomplish in the next 60 minutes. I'm so glad you could join me. It's Valentine's Day. Where did Valentine's Day originate? We're going to look at the history of it, and we're going to do a little sewing. We're also going to do some reminiscing about this quilt here that we did several years ago on FiberCast. Boy, I can see a lot. It is a hot mess, actually, but it's pretty, and it used up some pink fabric. We're also going to look at some wall hangings that. Hi, Maggie in New Hampshire. Hi, Maggie. Nice to see you out there. We're also going to look at some wall hangings that I've just finished for a new client down Marcia Scott. So, and we're going to, Dear Jane, we can't leave Dear Jane because we have to focus on this. We're going to do one of the corners. We're going to finish up one of the corners. And yes, I have done some pre-work, so I think we're pretty close to being able to do it. Hello, Billy. I think that's Billy in Texas. Nice to see you. Oh, I'm so glad you all are out there. Hello. Okay, so first things first. Dear Jane, I guess that's what we're going to do first. No, first things first, Valentine's Day and the history of it. And this comes from the history.com, and it was updated yesterday, February 13th. So actually, it's a day of romance. We're going to talk about the legend of St. Valentine. We're going to talk about its origins as a pagan festival in February and how it became a day of romance, and we'll go from there. Before I start reading that, though, let's look at some finishes from this week. I decided that every week I'm going to try and share with you what I've worked on here in the studio, because a lot happens in 7 days or 6 days between sessions. So one is, I think I had shown you the front of this memory quilt, and I used the back, this Lush, it's called Lush, it's a Shannon Lush, it's 15 millimeters thick, minky, and it was a bear to work with. I have to tell you, it shed a lot, and it was thicker to do, but it certainly is going to keep Caroline nice and warm. So that is done and bound and all ready to go. Now, what I've also been working on for a new client are lots of these little either wall hangings or table runners. That's a cute one for Easter. We did Flower Power on that one in a lemon ice yellow. Here's a neat one that she did from a kit. She does beautiful work. And this is Stars and Loops by Linda Taylor, which is a nice compliment, I think. And it's in Mocha Glide thread. Here's a cute one. Ooh, a crab. And this one we did it's called extension, but it's like water. So that's a cute one. That works up well. I'll put these back here. They're all little. This is, of course, unfortunately, there is not a Valentine one, but check this out. For St. Patrick's Day, and we used a clover in a chartreuse, a yellowy green, which really looks pretty. Here's a fun nautical one. I don't know if you can see that, if the colors are washed out. Here is a wreath, Simple Holly from Anne. I think that's from either Anne Bright or Urban Elements. Might be Urban Elements. And then finally, here's one done in peach thread, circle swirls. which is another nice nautical one, a lighthouse. So those are ready to go to her tomorrow. Also, Deb, it was so wonderful to see Deb today. I hadn't seen her in a while. She has made 2 quilts that have yet to be quilted, but they're going back to her later this weekend. So I wanted to show you. And these are for twin girls. There's one. I just love this. And they have the same backing and the same binding. And here's the second one. Aren't those fun? So that is amongst things that will be done this weekend. So I just wanted to share that with you before we dive into our Dear Jane, which we've been working on since 2012. So for those of you who have been around for that long, thank you. Have we been doing this since 2012? I don't think so. We've been doing it since 2014. So I started this even before FiberCast. Okay, but first off, do we need 2 pairs of glasses? I don't think so. Hi, Sue Norton. Your check came today. Thank you. And your drawings look amazing. And Karen, oh, hi, KB. And Carol, oh, it's so good to see everyone. Happy V-Day. Okay. So, what is V-Day? It doesn't stand for venereal disease, does it? I hope I didn't start us off on a bad. Anyway, again, this comes from history.com. So, Valentine's Day occurs every February 14th. Across the United States and in other places around the world, candy, flowers, and gifts are exchanged between loved ones, all in the name of St. Valentine. But who is this mysterious saint, and where did these traditions come from? So we're going to go on. We're going to learn how the ancient Roman ritual of Lupercalia, that is where it all started. So the history of Valentine's Day and the story of its patron saint is shrouded in mystery. We do know that February has long been celebrated as a month of romance, and that St. Valentine's Day, as we know it today, contains vestiges of both Christian and ancient Roman tradition. The Catholic Church recognizes at least 3 different saints named Valentine or Valentinius, all of whom were martyred. One legend contends that Valentine was a priest who served during the 3rd century in Rome. When Emperor Claudius II decided that single men made better soldiers than those with wives and families, he outlawed marriage for young men. Valentine, realizing the injustice of the decree, defied Claudius and continued to perform marriages for young lovers in secret. When Valentine's actions were discovered, Claudius ordered that he be put to death. Still others insist that it was St. Valentine of Terni, a bishop, who was the true namesake of the holiday. He too was beheaded by Claudius II outside Rome. Yikes. Love is a dangerous sport back then. Other stories suggest that Valentine may have been killed for attempting to help Christians escape harsh Roman prisons, where they were often beaten and tortured. According to one legend, an imprisoned Valentine actually sent the first Valentine greeting himself after he fell in love with a young girl, possibly his jailer's daughter, who visited him during his confinement. Okay. Before his death, it is alleged that he wrote her a letter signed "From Your Valentine," an expression that is still in use today. So although the truth behind the Valentine legends is murky, the stories all emphasize his appeal as a sympathetic, heroic, and most importantly, romantic figure. By the Middle Ages, perhaps thanks to this reputation, Valentine would become one of the most popular saints in England and France. So I want to tell you a little bit about Lupercalia, and then we'll jump into Dear Jane. So some believe that Valentine's Day is celebrated in the middle of February to commemorate the anniversary of Valentine's death or burial, which probably occurred around 270 AD. But others claim, this is what I want to talk about, that the Christian Church may have decided to place St. Valentine's feast day in the middle of February in an effort to Christianize the pagan celebration of Lupercalia. It's celebrated at the Ides of February, or February 15th. Lupercalia was a fertility festival dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture, as well as the Roman founders Romulus and Remus. So get this, to begin the festival, members of the Luperci, an order of Roman priests, would gather at a sacred cave. The priests would sacrifice a goat for fertility and a dog for purification. Then they would strip the goat's hide into strips, dip them into sacrificial blood, and take to the streets, gently slapping both women in crop fields with the goat hide. Far from being fearful, Roman women welcomed the touch of the hides because it was believed to make them more fertile in the coming year. Later in the day, according to legend, all the young women in the city would place their names in a big urn. The city's bachelors would each choose a name and become paired for the year with his chosen woman. These matches often ended in marriage. So that is Lupercalia, and I don't know if I'm saying that right. We'll read more, but happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. I'm so glad you could join me, and I love that you're there. Okay, dear Jane, we're getting there. In fact, this week I have started and almost completed all of the flags, the remaining flags. So I think we did this one last week. We did this one. I still haven't done the hand sewing. And so I still have hand sewing. Even the corner squares, I have hand sewing. I've started those. This is what we have. We have one corner square. I'm going to leave it. It's supposed to have another circle there, but I don't have any more of this fabric. And unless I find a fabric that I really like that goes with that, I'm going to leave it like that. So we have one corner done. And lots of flags and all of the solid flags that are going to go in there. So next week, we're going to be working on a flower t-shirt quilt. So I'm not sure. But that kind of goofs it up because I want to finish this by the time I go to Missouri. So I take that back. We're probably going to be working on this next week, putting the flags together if I don't get it all done before then. Okay. So anyway, what are we going to do today? Today we're going to finish making the bottom left corner. And it's the one with the most pieces. And I know you can't see this, but it's the bottom left corner there. In fact, I'm going to show you this one is what it looks like. Hi, Dawn. Nice to see you out there. Okay, so I've already done this part, and it was really quite fun. I used paper piecing without the edges, so I'd never done that before, and I'm going to use paper piecing to do and I have a top already, so I have this and this. We have to do a little paper piecing on each side. And if we can get that done tonight, I will be happy and put it together. So that's our mission. And I'm sorry, I have so much junk around here. Oops. Okay. So I have these two pieces, and this is our fabric. And I think what I need to do is cut. So I'm going to do just one at a time. Okay. Okay, let's put our stitch length down to 1.7. Oh, I hope I didn't run out of thread. Did you see the pretty flowers that Bob gave me? Oh, look at that. I did it wrong. Ha! Right out of the gate. Rip her up. Seam ripper. Bless you all for watching FiberCast. What are you all working on? Post it. Oh, and hi, Mom. Feel free to post it. KB, I'm thinking of you, and TG Bob, and most importantly, Graham. Graham broke her hip. But it sounds like she's on the road to recovery, which is great news. You would think I would know how to do this. Yay. Well, we always say when you start off paper piecing, you have to get back in the rhythm again. Something's wrong with my machine. It keeps giving me an error message. Let's see. Must be some lint. Pull it all out because this is part of sewing, right? Oh, I don't know if I told everyone, but I got rid of 3 sewing machines last night. It was a fun day or fun night. Megan, a teacher in Westboro school system. Oh, excuse me. She teaches 7th and 8th grade sewing after school. And she took 3 of our machines. And I'm so glad they're going to be used. Or even if they're not used, you know, she said she has a couple of students who are really into pulling them apart, which is great. You know, the mechanics of it. She said they put them on old AV carts that used to have audio visual or TVs. They don't have TVs anymore because they all have computers. So she said they put the sewing machines on that. Okay, I'm going to rethread this because I keep getting an error message that shows my spool up here. It's kind of weird. Okay. Remember with this Bernina, you have to hold the thread at the top. Really make sure it engages. Apparently with all Berninas. Or I don't know if that's true, but that's what they said, the newer ones. All right. Okay, that feels good. Feels good. Put this on. Okay. Let's try this again. Oh, do you believe I did it again? This is so hard. That's ridiculous. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to sew another piece on the end. That is pretty funny. If anyone out there is thinking of doing a Dear Jane, think twice. Although I think it's going to be fun when it's done to know that I did it. But man. Okay, now what I do is I cut myself some seam allowance, but I use the actual edge of the template will be my sewing guide. Okay, so here is this. Brother. So if I do that, I think that'll work. This went so smoothly. Comparatively, I just started in the middle. Okay, there we go. Okay. Just that. Okay. So now we're going to put these two pieces together. I know it's hard to see this. Again, we're doing, if you just tuned in, we are doing the bottom left corner. And thanks for joining me. I hope you're working on something fun, doing something fun. Bob is downstairs. They don't have band tonight, so he and I have a date for dessert. Okay, so there are the two pieces. Now, let me see if that's right. Yep, that is right. And I've been using a pin to line up things. Okay, let's see. I have to do another one of these, so we're only halfway done. But that worked. Okay, so there's one piece. I should put this right here so you can see it. So here's this. Let's see. Yep. And then this will go here. And that will go there. So now I have to do the other one that goes over there. And then we'll put it all together. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to cut this again in half. Okay. I'm using so much fabric. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so there's one side. Now let's do the other. you think this will be big enough for this little piece? I think that'll work. Okay, that works. Finger press. Go. Okay. So now I have to trim this up, giving ourselves, let's say, 3/16 of an inch. Okay. So I look on the back. There it is. Use my pin to line up my angles. The intersection of the two pieces of mustard colored fabric. This yellow is supposed to be like sand, by the way, for my beach themed Dear Jane. Oops. Okay. All right. Well, that sort of worked. So there are the two sides that we just made. Now, they have white here and here. So what I'm going to do, and there's white up above. So basically now I'm just going to sew a lot of white all the way around it, and then I'm going to cut out my final shape. I'll show you what I mean. So if I did this right, I should be able to sew that to that. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Here's that. So it's getting there. Now, there's also some white that has to be up here But I can do that after I do this. So here's what I'm going to do. I need to get my cutting board here. I want to make sure everything is nice and my rotary cutter here. Okay, so there's one side. Here's the other side. So now we sew one on. Okay. Now let's sew this and this. Oh, whoops. Is that right? Okay. Here's that side. Like this. Okay. So we're getting closer. Now the pattern has more white up here and then more white down there. So let's see how much white down below is just, it's about 3/8 of an inch. So 3/8, let's just get an inch. I need some fabric. I have lots of this white on white left over that I think I'm going to use on the back. Or I could just use muslin, but Okay. I don't even have a long ruler, but we're just going to, Yes, welcome to the Winging It Sewing Program, where you too can wing it. I'm almost done. Do you believe it? And then I think we're just going to finish up learning about St. Valentine and then call it a night. So I can go have my dessert date. How's that sound? Okay. So this again is the bottom left corner of Dear Jane. And this needs a good pressing and then a trim. But since I don't have my iron set up, I don't want to trim it yet. So there it is, untrimmed. That's going to be the corner of our Dear Jane. So I think that's working okay. Oh, it's so nice to see you out there. Oh, hand sewing and I read all your comments and I just love to see that you're out there. What else? Oh, let's finish up the history of Valentine's Day. And then I think we're done. Hi, Pat. Pat, are you going to do the scalloped border? Pat asks. Yes, I am. I've come this far. So there's a scalloped border on Dear Jane that I'm going to do just like that. I'm going to do it in the white on white, little scallops, and then trim it or bind it in a darker blue. So yeah. Okay, St. Valentine. Valentine's Day is a day of romance. So remember we talked about Lupercalia. It survived the initial rise of Christianity, but it was outlawed. It was deemed unchristian at the end of the 5th century when Pope Gallius declared February 14th as St. Valentine's Day. It was not until much later, however, that the day became definitively associated with love. During the Middle Ages, it was commonly believed in France and England that February 4th was the beginning of birds' mating season, which added to the idea that the middle of Valentine's Day should be a day of romance. Let's see. Who's Cupid? Haven't you always wondered what that little naked baby is all about? Okay. And again, this is from history.com. Cupid is often portrayed on Valentine's Day cards as a naked cherub launching arrows of love at unsuspecting lovers. But the Roman god Cupid has his roots in Greek mythology as the Greek god of love, Eros. Accounts of his birth vary. Some say he is the son of Nyx and Erebus, others of Aphrodite and Ares. Still others suggest he is the son of Iris and Zephyrus, or even Aphrodite and Zeus, who would have been both his father and grandfather. Oh, dear Lord. Anyway, he's the Greek god of love. According to the Greek archaic poets, Eros was a handsome immortal, played with the emotions of gods and men, using golden arrows to incite love and lead in ones to sow aversion. I don't know what that even means. Oh, to sow aversion. Okay. Eros, Cupid, aka Cupid, was a handsome immortal. So he wasn't mortal. He was a god, right? He played with the emotions of God and men, using golden arrows to incite love and lead ones to sow aversion. To sow aversion. It wasn't until the Hellenistic period that he began to be portrayed. And I know Dr. Sue and others, KB, you all can understand what that means. And lead in ones to sow aversion. Oh, brother. It wasn't until the Hellenistic period that he began to be portrayed as the mischievous, chubby child he'd become on Valentine's Day cards. Okay, so he's really Eros. He's meant to be Eros. I think that's about it. Well, how fun is that? So February 14th is a day of love. And that's about all I've got. Oh, let me show you the flowers that Bob gave me, and then we will sign out. How pretty are these? So I share these with you as my Valentine's Day gift to you. Thank you for joining me. Do something you love. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next Friday night right here on FiberCast. Bye, everyone. How do I end it? Oh, here we go. Bye.